Hello, dear farmers, and to everyone who is watching this episode. Welcome back to your favorite farming channel, Farming with the CEO, where we say farming is the way to go. As you can see behind me, today I'm in Machakos in Naurisha Farm. Yeah, I came to visit Naurisha Farm so that you can learn more about permaculture. So don't forget to click on the subscription button below and to turn on the notification so that you can always be notified whenever I upload a new video. Let's join Mr. Langat so that you can learn more about permaculture.
Hello everyone, my name is Kipkimoy Langat. I'm a permaculture consultant as well as also a permaculture designer based in Naurisha Farm, whereby we offer what we call the permaculture training as well as also the consultancy. Okay, today we are going to discuss about what permaculture is and what permaculture is all about. So first of all, we have to define the word permaculture. The word permaculture normally comes from the contraction of the two words. Here we have the first word, the perma, which means the permanent. So we have the permanent agriculture as well as also the permanent culture. And then also as well as also the permanent culture. So in permaculture, it is all about care. We care for what? We have to care for the earth. We have to care for the people as well as also the fair return. Okay, so we start with this word. So permaculture, the definition of permaculture is the design system for creating a sustainable human environment or stroke environment. So this is also a way whereby people are able to do farming and as well as also meeting their daily needs and as well as also tending the soil to make it productive in order to meet our daily needs. So first of all, when we talk about the permaculture, it is all about the design. And when we talk about the design, we have different designs which come to the system. Starting from the location where you are, location. So we have the design. You design your homestead, whereby we have got, in the homestead, we have what we call zones. Zones means a system whereby you start with whatever you want to obtain it daily, and the one which you don't visit very often should be placed at the far end. Take for example, if you have the kitchen garden, it should be near your homestead because you visit that area very often. And then things like also the poultry, we have what we call, starting from zone 1, we have zone 0, this is your homestead. And then we have also zone 1, whereby you can have your kitchen garden. And then also we have zone 2, where we can have the poultry, as well as also part of the farming, as well as also small animals, which you can have them into your system. And then also the zone 3, zone 1, zone 3. In zone 3, this is also the farming area with large animals. This one is because you don't here for the kitchen, you need everything, especially when you want to cook, you have to go to the kitchen, especially maybe you need the herbs. And then for the poultry, you need to give them water and also collecting the eggs. That is why they should be at zone 2. And at the zone 2 also, you can have your orchards, whereby you need also the fruits. And then also zone 3, we have the farming going on as well as also the large animals. And then we have what we call zone 4. Zone 4, this is also where you can have, you can do the plantation or growing of crops in large quantity. And for this one, maybe you need to visit there, maybe watering or maybe harvesting and the like. And then for the far end, especially in your design, we have the zone 5, which is also, I can call it the boundaries. of your land. Or you can call it the wild. We have the wildlife as well as also maybe forest. So here, in this area, this is where you can do some small farming which does not need your care most of the time, like the apiary. Apiary. Apiary is the keeping of bees. So you can keep bees because normally harvesting bees can take place maybe either twice a year or mostly twice a year, depending on the flowers you have in the system. And then let's get back to the design. This is sustain, and then also we have the sustainability, especially when we talk about the permaculture. When we have the sustainability, this is how long a certain product in your farm can take you before you require the same product. Take, for example, the vegetable, or let's say you have maybe some crops you've harvested. So how long does that crop you've harvested last you before you require? Or if you do the farming, is it sustainable? Can it produce so that you won't need maybe, or is it able to sustain the family you have and also the people around? You have extras. And then, so in permaculture, it is being guided by what you call permaculture ethics. And at first, I told you that when we talk about the permaculture, it is all about the care. So when we talk about the ethics, we have the first ethic, which is called care for the earth. For these ones, this means you have to care for all, caring for all living and non-living things. So in permaculture, it is not just about the farming. You care for the environment, both living and then also non-living. Living, we have the plants, which we need them especially to control the aeration and the like. We have also to hold the water. Non-living, we can have the soil and etc. We have the minerals, nutrients found in the soil and the like. So those one we categorize them under non-living. And then when we talk about the living, these are all living organisms, either animals or the plants. And then the second one is care for the people. Care for the people. Care for the people, this one is enabling everyone, enabling people to obtain their daily needs. Daily needs. Daily needs, or we can just call it the basic needs. So, in permaculture, care for the people, enabling everyone to get their daily needs. And when you look at the two, they are also correlated, because when you take care of the soil or the farm, you'll be able to produce in a sustainable and resilient way. And then the third one, we call it fair share. Fair share. Fair share, we can also call it a return of surplus. So after producing, you can have extra. So you produce extra, and then where does this extra goes to? This one also assists us especially in controlling or minimizing our consumption. Consumption comes in different ways, not only whatever we eat, but also whatever we take back to where we obtain some of those nutrients. So for example, if it is about the soil, then think about the recycling. Recycling. You have to recycle all the waste material, and then if possible you decompose, and then after decomposing you take them back to the soil to continue growing. And by so doing, you'll be also you'll be enabled to reduce the use of pesticides as well as also the inorganic fertilizer in our soil. And this is why the permaculture itself is all about the organic farming. And with this one, we care for the habitat, that is the home of everyone, as well as also care for the people, because if we use the chemicals, we are poisoning the soil as well as also ourselves. Okay, in permaculture also, we are being guided by what we call permaculture principles. So when we talk about the principles, these are also they are like our Bible, especially when we are doing what we call the permaculture. For example, one, the problem is the solution. This one guide every farmer not to dwell on the solution, but to use it as an opportunity. An opportunity to prosper, so that you don't just stay in everything that happens. Take for example, maybe you have the chicks and then all your chicks died. That one will tell you there's a problem that happened, and with that one it will give you a guidance on where or how to avoid that problem. And then also we have also bringing food, help bring food production back to the cities. So for this one also is to guide us, especially because urbanization is growing rapidly, and this is also to tell us that instead of maybe not caring of the cities, we can as well use it and utilize it and make good use of it. Take for example, in the cities, we have a lot of, let's say, a chunk of organic material which are being or taken to their dumping sites. So in the cities, we have to think of a way in which maybe one day there would be a processing or a decomposing site by the government, so that they will turn all this, the organic material into compost, which is a vital element needed for the growth of the plants, and then it will be sold either to the farmers or used to produce more plants and other things, especially in building the soil. And then also another principle is help make people self-reliant. So in permaculture, we normally focus on the design, and in the designs, we can teach people on which type of a project you need to start with and what is needed in that project. And in permaculture, we advise people to start small, especially on priorities, to start with what one can finish, not what you can't finish. So in every project, especially you start with what? You start with what you know. And then for the unknown, that is after you succeed with the first project. So in the principle we have, and then another principle is that every element has more than one function. So this is all about the analysis. So when it comes to permaculture, we try to analyze everything. If it is about the water runoff, you have to analyze, know the flow. How does that runoff goes towards either your property or off your property? And in permaculture, we tend to design mostly on water. So when we talk about the water, this one will tell us, why do we need this water runoff? Is it a valuable commodity? Yes. So that is why we need to design in such a way we can try to hold any water entering your system and then make good use of it, maybe later during the dry season, or continue watering your crops as well as the animal. So with this one, it will tell us about all the principles needed, especially when it comes to water. like using the water principles, which is catch, or you collect water, and then also you have to store it for some time. Maybe you have a dam, or you build some swales to control the flow of water of your property. And then also after storing, you spray them. And then when you spray them, you also sink them in the soil. And in permaculture, we say the best place to store water is in the ground. So all the water should be stored in the ground. So we don't have to allow water maybe to go off your property and then maybe to flood the banks and whatever destroyed our rivers. But we can store that water and use them later. If not storing, we build what we call swales, or the small trenches which stop the flow of water as it percolates to the soil. Okay, so in permaculture, it has most of the things that are needed. And then another thing also is the design. Let me talk a bit about the design. So here at Nourisha Farm, we offer different courses, especially what we call the permaculture design course. Permaculture or the PDC, permaculture design course, PDC. So in this one, it has it is more detailed because it has both the practical as well as the theory part. And then in the designs, you have some of the things that you need to know about. First of all, if you don't know, we have in the design, using my symbol of Bradimate, so using my symbol way of design, whereby you start with what we call observation. In observation, if you are a designer, you need to visit the site. You have to be on the site, see the flow of the water, as well as also the external sector or the sector, any energy towards your farm. You have to know about either water runoff, the solar, wind energy, and then many other things. So you have to know the topography as well. And so this one is all about the sector. Sector are the external energies towards your system or your farm. So observation, at this point, you only use your eyes. You see everything before you make the final design. And then also you do what we call the planning. You have to plan before everything to happen, especially in your system. You have to do what we call the planning. You have to write down. You must have a paper, a pen, and then also a book or a place where to write them, as well as also a ruler. And then you must know how your farm, your land looks like. When you know how your farm looks like, it will enable you to design. And before the design, you do also what we call research. You have to research on a certain project you want to work on. And then after researching, you have, and in the side of research, you can do in different ways, either through what we call questionnaire, or through maybe farm visit. You can visit Nourisha Farm, and then you'll also learn more about in the side of the research. And then after the research, you do what we call analysis. So you analyze whatever you found now. Whatever you've found, whatever you've contained in the paper, you research and then you analyze. Analyzing means seeing all the advantages as well as also their disadvantages. And with these disadvantages, you see also their impacts on the environment. So when it comes to analyzing, you have to look through all those things, because maybe you are doing what you call the poultry farming, and then you focus only on eggs, meat and eggs, you forget that we have also what we call the fertilizer or the farmyard manure. You can have the manure. So when you do the analysis, you see also this one as an input or whatever you've achieved as a profit from your poultry. So you will not be one-sided, especially when doing that. And then also after that, you do what we call the design, the normal design. The design now is your drawing of your farm. And with the guidance of what we call zones, you will know which element to put where in your farm. So those are the vital things that you must know or you must be careful about when designing your homestead. And then also after the design, we have what we call implementation. So in every project that you do, you have also in this implementation, after throwing up all the things that you need, if it is about the poultry farming, you have the structure, whatever, and after that, you design, you know where to put the structure, and then after knowing where to put the structure, you now implement whatever project you intend. That is in permaculture. And then after implementation, whatever you are doing, the next thing is maintenance. How do you keep your project going? So in permaculture, we give you all the details, what or everything that you need to run a certain project. If it is the animal, apiary, apiculture, and whatever. So all those projects, in order to run, we give you all the guidance, especially during what we call the permaculture design course. And then we give you a guidance, the way to continue and the like. And then after everything, we have what we call the evaluation. Evaluation gives you a guidance whether you are going forward or backward in your project. So that is also another thing that you must be very keen on. And if you are making a loss, you also need to know. And that is why when starting every project, you need to keep records of both your failures as well as success to give you a solution for whatever challenge you will face. And then now, when you've started whatever you are doing, if you are doing the permaculture way, then you must know to tweak. Tweak means making either small adjustment in your project. So, for the side of introduction to permaculture, I've talked about what permaculture is and all these things. So all these things are now what guide you, especially when doing what you call permaculture, and it will give you the direction on a way and also a way forward towards farming. And up to there, I know or I hope you've learned something and know what permaculture is all about. Thank you.
Okay, for few questions,
Yes.
I know there are some farmers who may be asking, is it in permaculture, is it capital intensive or how, what can you say about it?
Thank you very much. That's a good question. And in permaculture, we normally say you start with what you have. It doesn't need a lot of capital to run permaculture, and that is why we are using the available material. You can use the farmyard manure to do your farming. You can use all the recycled material to start whatever project you have. And on top of that, we value also the grey water. If there's a problem in your area with water, think about the toilet, the sink. Water after washing your hands, where does that water goes to? So you change your system and then use them either watering the lawn, trees, and whatever.
Another question, huh?
Yes.
You know, some farmers will be asking, as a new farmer into the project of permaculture, which are some of the mistakes that I'm supposed to avoid during investing into permaculture?
Okay. Permaculture, the mistakes which people normally do is maybe running to a certain project and then with a full force, putting all the capital in a small, a big project first. But the best way to go is to start slow and start small. Start with what you can start or what you can finish fast. If you want to start a certain project, start from the whatever you know, and then you go to unknown using the small capital. And then when you get used to that project, then you expand. Or after succeeding with the first project, you now expand your project. It is like starting with 100 hens or chickens, and then after succeeding, you increase after maybe to 200 or even 1,000, because you know all the challenges and whatever can be faced, especially when running that or a certain project.
What are some of the challenges that you may encounter during when doing permaculture?
The most challenge that normally occurs is water. Water, we always regard it as a scarce commodity. And if we don't do the permaculture in the right way, with the help of this water, then we will face a severe challenge. And later on, maybe if we move around, you'll see how we try to utilize water in every point, either from watering animals, the birds, and even the grey water. So that is the water is the key, especially in every farming. So that is the biggest challenge to every farmer.
What are let's talk about the benefits of permaculture. What are the benefits of it?
Okay, permaculture has got so many benefits, especially most of it is, first of all, it is organic. So to mean you'll be eating organic or let's say healthy food. And then another thing, the input normally is smaller compared to the output. And then also the whole environment. You'll be living in a serene environment because you are not using poisons, which normally interfere with either normal farming or the ground or whatever. Even like if you are keeping peas, you'll be killing a lot of bees as well. But we take advantage as permaculturalists.
What is that one advice that you can give to aspiring farmers who want to venture into permaculture?
Okay, the most important thing, especially when doing permaculture, is start small, expand as you succeed, and keep records of all your failures and success to make whatever you want to start successful.
It's okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Langat, for the session. Yeah, we can progress to the next.
Thank you.